No, I don't talk about just one thing on this channel because life is so much more than just one thing. Here we will talk about the beautiful mess of building a life. Dating when you're ambitious but exhausted. Adulting when you have no idea how to adult. Adulting when you have a to-do list that has sub-to-do lists. Career shape-shifting, creative survival. And why sometimes the solution isn't self-help, it's a story. This channel is for the curious, the multi-hyphenates, the bloomers, the late bloomers, the re-bloomers. It's for the ones writing their timelines even when it doesn't just make sense yet. Because sometimes the crisis is the content and the chaos is where the story begins. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe if you are the plot twist in your own story. Let's make the mess meaningful. Hi, I'm Akanksha, and no, I don't do just one thing. You are here because maybe we both have one thing in common, that we do not just one, but many different things. We are the kind of people that don't just fit into any one kind of label, and that is beautiful. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So here we are, here I am, after 5 different countries and many career crises later. I'm Akanksha. I'm from India. I was born and brought up in Mumbai. I did my schooling in Mumbai and some different parts of the world. At the same time, I started my career basically in India. Then I worked in different parts of the world, mainly in Italy and in Spain. I am an Indian woman. I am an immigrant. I am this millennial generation who taps into so many different things because I love to explore the beautiful different aspects of life, the different facets of who I am, and keep discovering even more because conforming is boring when you can actually be curious and thrive. So initially, my first degree that I have that was in art history. I was enamored by art. I was in love with the fact of slowly connecting to this piece of beauty that translates you across time, that has this emotion just etched into yourself forever. And I fell in love with that slow motion of being and feeling tactile art. I started working for different art galleries in India. I went for different art fairs. I started selling independently. While I was selling, obviously, it was an internship that I had in India at that time, and they trained me. Not only I was more interested in becoming a curator, but being so young and being a woman in India at that time was not that easy to become a curator. And honestly, I wasn't even that skilled, didn't have that experience as well at that time. But my gallerists that I've worked with, the different festivals that I worked with, they really pushed me to try to understand the contemporary Indian art a little more deeper. And the more that I went into it, the more I fell in love with it. So being an entrepreneurial person that I am, being the Sindhi that I am, I wanted to start my business. That was the first business, the first failure that I had. But, well, we'll see where that went. So when I was working in India through these different art fairs and different art galleries, I finally decided that, hey, I have a knack. I think I'm good at selling art. I'm going to start a business with it. Obviously, I don't come from generational wealth. I don't come from the kind of generational wealth that is just lying around over there and that you can just take and create a whole gallery out of it. People who run galleries have a lot of backing. People who come from big galleries are because they come from bigger families and they have a lot of money lying down over there, so they spend it on art. Well, it's more or less like that. So I started an online art gallery called Art Throng, related to artists promoting emerging artists from Asia Pacific. I got 30 artists at that time from different parts of Asia Pacific in different mediums, and the platform really took off. But the sales never really took off. And I really wondered, what is it? Why am I not able to sell? I'm promoting, I'm doing all of this. Because art is not a necessity according to people at that time. My 21, 22-year-old self was really heartbroken what I was doing. I'm like, I've spent like 30,000 rupees on my website. I've spent like 30 more thousand rupees on promoting it. And my 21-year-old was like, oh no, this is not working. I'm so sad. Well, that was a great learning. But while I was creating that, I have still this friend who used to when I was creating this platform, I was still having my 9 to 5 job at the gallery. But I have this friend who used to live right downstairs, and he still is a music producer, a psytrance music producer. So after my work, after my studio, after my work, I used to go to his studio to play music. I used to watch him play music, how he used to compose music, how he used to mix music, and I was in love with that. I was in love with looking at synthesizers. I was in love with looking at mixers, even though I had no idea how to use it. Well, turned out while in the process of like trying to understand why my first startup is not working, I got into music to channelize my sadness through it. While I got into playing music, I actually became good at it. So one day my friend told me that, hey, do you want to do like an opening set? Before me, I'm playing at this club and you could do it. I'm like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. But hey, I've never really played like professionally and in front of a lot of people. I don't know if I'll be able to do it. He was like, oh, you will do it. And I was like, yeah, I guess I can do it. I mean, 21. I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I did an opening set for him. And from there was no turning back. I think, in the first few women DJs that started playing in India. I was playing at different festivals slowly. Rolling Stone India did an article on me. They listed me in the top 10 electronic music DJs, female DJs. They listed me in the top 10 female electronic music DJs who are pushing up the scene in India. And that was amazing. Through that, one of my friends told me that, hey, you are really good at this. Why don't you get into production? I was like, yeah, you know, I mean, I learned how to mix, but I was not really a great mixer as well. I was making a lot of mistakes in my initial gigs. And, all these men, well, by the men, I meant like the boys who were all the DJs around me, they would look at me and I'm like, oh, oops, well, I was learning, I was always learning and I did not need a man to mansplain me how the knobs worked. Well, when you are learning, you're starting off, it's okay to make mistakes and own up to them. Nothing is perfect. You're not perfect. So it's good that you start with whatever you are doing and keep improving it. Right? So I kept improving my art and my craft of DJing. At the same time, I had kept my Armstrong business at a back burner, not because it did not work. I actually got an investor as well who wanted to put in the money to get all these artists from different parts of Asia Pacific, have a go down in India and start selling it aggressively. But the deal that we had I was like still super young, and the deal that I had with them, it was like, I think it was this kind of a investor meetup where they were looking to fund businesses by Indian youth under 25, and I cut the bill. But then, they wanted like 80% of the company and 20% was with me. And I was like, this is just too much of stress for my 21-year-old self. And I had just gotten into DJing. I was like, I think I'm just going to explore this at the moment. It just didn't sit right at that time. So when I was playing music, I got featured in this Rolling Stone article. Then my other friend told me there was this amazing art residency in Italy. Why don't you apply in the music and art department? It's a residency which is very difficult to get into, but if you do get into it, you get 1 year of full scholarship, they pay for your rent, your accommodation, and they let you explore your art. It sounded like the most beautiful thing that I've ever heard. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to apply. But I was still very underconfident of my music skills. I was like, I don't know, there's imposter syndrome. I mean, I don't come from the musical background and stuff like that. The inner monologue that just keeps haunting you. So I did apply, but I applied in the arts and the editorial department. But I also, while I gave them my CV and, I wrote the cover letter and everything, I also did attach my DJ links and my DJ videos. I get an email from them in Italy after a month or so that you are selected to come for the trial. So if they like your profile, they call you for a trial. I went for the trial, the 2 weeks trial, but they had called me for a trial, not in the editorial department. They called me for a trial in the music and sound department. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? In this residency, they're going to ask me to like produce music. I have no idea how to produce music. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go. I went for the trial to Italy. They asked me to play a DJ set out of my influences that influence me, the culture that influences me. I did a 2-hour DJ set, based on Indian and flamenco music to have that mix between the two, and I got selected. I got the 1 year scholarship. I moved to Italy, and I was producing music. How did I produce music? I had no idea. Well, I learned it by myself. I learned Ableton by myself, and I realized that I was working with one more person. Well, the music department was very small. There was one more guy who was amazing, my friend who was from Finland, and there was my boss who was super sweet and super young and super amazing, but he was leaving at that time. So it was just the two of us. And all the projects were going to the Finland, my Finnish friend who was actually an amazing sound engineer. He had a degree with it. And I had this imposter syndrome. Oh my God. He's a sound engineer. He has a degree. Look at all his machines. I have no idea even that one little knob, what that one little knob does on his machine. So I was like, oh my God, I don't know how this is going to happen. Then there was an open call for one particular project of Bulgari, and I had an idea. I pitched the idea, and when the idea got selected by the main deciding team, I was told to compose the music. Now, when I was composing the music, I was like, I have never composed a sound track before in my life. So I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. But somehow I did it. I could not read music notes. I did not have fancy musical degree like my colleague over there. I did not have those fancy machines, but I did compose a music track. I did compose a soundtrack for this brand, and they loved it. It was more intuition. It was more my way of learning how to compose, my way of figuring out different notes and what felt right for me, that was transmitted to the song, that was transmitted to the product. After that, there was no turning back. I did compose many other soundtracks for different brands and different clients at that time. While I was working over there, I've always been interested in art and design. I think, starting working in the art galleries to music, it's something that is related to art that has always been very connected to me. So I was like, okay, I am a creative person, so I have to pursue all my creative skills around it. I worked with a lot of designers at that time, and when I was working with these designers, I got interested into design. I mean, what can I do? I do have interests. I do get interested in different things. How can you stop yourself from being curious about certain things? So then I was like, oh my God, how cool would it be to be able to design a product, to be able to design a chair, to be able to design this house? And then I applied for a partial scholarship, and I got a partial scholarship in Rome to study interior and product design. I moved to Rome to study interior and product design, and while I was studying it, I got more interested into interior design. Then the lockdown hit, and everything stopped for 3 years. I had a complete lowdown. I was just, like everyone else, we were at home, figuring out, thinking what to do. In the lockdown, I picked my art stuff back. That is, I started doing more art writing. I did more art writing for different platforms, online platforms, which garnered a very strong sense of my writing, which honed my writing skills a lot. I did study English literature and Hindi literature in school, so I had a very strong base of writing and fiction and in general in English writing. And that is what I pursued during my lockdown. After the lockdown, I decided to move to the Canary Islands when my sister and my dad were, and my mom also came with me. I decided to study the market and revamp the brand that I had started 8 years back when I was 21, Arthrong, which was the brand that I had started to promote emerging Asia Pacific artists that never took off at that time. I revamped the brand, I recycled, I repurposed it, and used the brand name, used the platform. I had a lot of followers already on Instagram, and I used it as initially when the art was not working, when I was not able to sell, I used the platform to promote about different artists, so it got more followers. Then when I moved to Canary Islands, I had a degree in interior design as well, along with my art history degree. The Canary Islands is very good for vacation rentals. It's very good for construction. So I got into interior design, full-fledged interior design. I started approaching different real estate agencies to collaborate with them, and I got my first few clients, which was more into quiet luxury but accessible luxury. And that is how I started my brand that I had started actually 10 years back. I revamped it, I repurposed it, just adapted it with a new kind of a skill to the current scenario, to my current me, and to the current place that I am at. So why am I making this video? Because I do all of these things. So when I started this business of my trying to build my brand of interior design, I took a break from my DJing because I was just not able to be at everywhere all the time. I tried to really push it through, and now slowly, because I am that Sindhi who loves to diversify, I'm slowly getting into different kinds of import-export as well, along with my interior design brand. But my writing hasn't stopped. I think it has just improved and grown even further and bigger, and that is why I started this YouTube channel to be able to express my emotions. But through it all, I kept writing, be it journals, be it essays, be it articles for online magazines. I never left my writing. I did podcasts, I did any kind of writing that was putting my mind, putting my thoughts into words in some way or another. Writing about art led to writing about people. Writing about people led to writing about desire. And now I'm writing my first ever screenplay, which is almost finished, and I am in talks to actually get it out there so people can actually watch it through a series. So no, I don't just talk about one thing on this channel because I am so many things. And if you are more than one thing, because you are not a singular identity, then that is absolutely beautiful as well. You are most welcome to my channel to go through all these things that I talk about and I'm so passionate about as well. Why do I talk about dating? Why do I talk about adulting? Because I feel we are a generation which has just been thrown into this crazy capitalistic environment where obviously we want to buy houses but we don't have the money to buy the houses, because when our parents bought the houses it was a whole different market at that time. The housing crisis now is just completely different. I want to date someone, but it's so hard to find someone on the same page in today's time and age, especially when you are a woman empowered and educated. It becomes like a threat as well. So obviously I have used online dating apps. Obviously I've had great crazy stories through it. Obviously I am figuring it all out. So as I try to get more clients from my interior brand or my import export suppliers or buyers, I'm now finally slowly getting back into DJing. I'm finally taking up the writing that I'd put on hold, taking up the DJing that I'd put on hold, because those are also that things that make me complete, make me feel something, make me feel alive. And why would I want to let that go? Something that actually makes me feel fully, completely like myself. So, no, if someone tells you you just got to do one thing, well, if you think you are okay with doing one thing, then that's beautiful. But if you feel that part of you that wants to do, well, it has interests and would like to access certain things and explore that, and if you can explore that, then please do it. Everyone has a lot of opinions. Everyone tells you, your family will tell you one thing, your partner will tell you one thing, your friends will tell you one thing, the podcast that you watch will tell you something, that you hear will tell you something, the channel that you're watching will tell you something else. But at the end of the day, you are the person who's living your reality. You are the person who has to live the emotions, the decisions that you make. So make sure that the decisions and the creative decisions, the emotional decisions, the career decisions, the dating decisions, the adulting decisions, the cultural decisions, depending on which culture you want to explore, where you're traveling, what kind of a conscious person you are you more in touch with what's going on in the world, whatever that you're doing in your life, it's resonating with the person that you want to be, you feel good about it, then you are doing a fantastic job. If you don't feel so great about it and you'd like to maybe feel a little better about it, then maybe you got to tap into that curious other aspects of you that actually exist. I welcome you to explore that as we do it through my channel, through the chaos, through the crisis, all of the things together. While I was in India, in my working for art gallery space before that, I did some modeling, but more than modeling, I actually did some acting. I did many commercials, TV commercials, and I did some small little roles here and there because I felt like I could act and I wanted to explore that side as well. And honestly, that dream hasn't completely gone away. So when I try to push for my screenplay, I'm going to try to push for my acting as well. Because hey, you've just got one life. And if you really want to explore it, then explore it. Because no one else is going to explore it for you. Someone can tell you, okay, you suck, you're not a good actor, you suck, you're not a good writer. But hey, you can try. You can try. Not everyone is going to feel the same thing. You just got to keep knocking at the doors, because every door is not going to say no. You just need that one person to connect with your script, to connect with your story, to connect with what you transmit. And that is all that takes to opening those doors, getting past the gatekeepers, getting past through the people who decide, and becoming the person that you have always truly wanted to be. So on my channel, you will see so many different things that I'm talking about. Why? Because I am so many different things that I talk about. I am a DJ, I am an entrepreneur, I am a designer, I am a writer, I am an actor, I am a dancer sometimes. I love to concentrate on my yoga, do my breath work. All of these things become a part of who I truly am. And I wouldn't have it any other way. And that is why I love to talk about each and every aspect of that facet of my life, of that part of me through my videos. And in my videos, you will see a reflection of yours, zillennial generation, of how we are adulting when we don't know how to adult, how we are trying to date, but yet we are so lonely and scared, how we are trying and pushing ourselves, putting ourselves out there to make new friends, but it becomes so hard at some point. You have more acquaintances than you have more friends because social media has made it more accessible, gives us this false belief illusion that you're more connected to people than you are not. Culture is something that we need to preserve at all points. How art is something we need to preserve at all points, and how I'm going to be talking about all these cultural aspects, the different trends, the different reflection of these beautiful, messy, modern times that we live in. And maybe we try to make a bit of sense through this chaos, and maybe we try to make a bit of sense of this chaos.